You guys, I'm not sure if any of you watching might be in the same boat as me, but if there's one team that I've been paying attention to much more than many other teams across the league ever since the preseason, it has undoubtedly been the San Francisco 49ers, and this is for multiple different reasons. Because if it already wasn't entertaining enough that this team had been moving on from their longtime quarterback to their newly acquainted franchise guy that they ultimately gave up the farm to obtain, which unfortunately just 2 games into the season saw him suffer a year-ending injury, which also ultimately made them go back to their old guy that most people around the league thought would be gone by now. We then see this team go out and give up an even more insane amount of draft capital to acquire their running back of the future in Christian McCaffrey. And regardless on where you stood on the McCaffrey deal when it originally occurred, or where you stand on it now after just a couple of weeks, there are some things we've seen from just getting a small glimpse of CMC in the red and gold that honestly I don't think anybody could have expected that we'd see, at least this early, so let's get into it. One sec though guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NFL video. Love you guys. And trust me, as we've done all season, we're just going to continue to come out with brand new NFL content every single week, so you do not want to miss it. But anyway, to get back on topic with the San Francisco 49ers, when the CMC trade initially happened and essentially broke the internet, especially when you consider how closely San Francisco barely edged out LA to obtain this man, and to my surprise at least, there seemed to be a lot of people that were really all over the place regarding how they felt about this. And to start, you had those that were almost salivating at the idea of CMC being thrown into a new and extremely run-oriented offense and only dreaming about what he would be able to do on this team. And then of course, you also had those that have been writing off CMC for the last couple of years, saying this was a massive overpay for someone who's barely seen the field over the last 2 seasons. And of course, while we're not going to be able to necessarily deem this trade a success until we see what happens a couple of years down the road, if what we've seen already from just the small glimpse of CMC that we've got in a Niner uniform is any indication to what he's going to be able to add to this offense in every single game, and trust me, I am trying not to overreact, but pairing an offense like this with a running back like CMC might be nothing short of a match made in heaven. Because again, for this run-oriented offense, which before acquiring CMC was really only headlined by guys like Jeff Wilson, who was actually just traded, Elijah Mitchell, which of course we haven't seen for much of the season due to being injured early on, and even wideout Deebo Samuel really taking the next spot in line for this. I don't want to say the Niners offense was underwhelming prior to the last couple of weeks, but it was clearly missing some of its explosive ability that we've seen under Kyle Shanahan over the last couple of years. In fact, in terms of their offensive production through the first couple of weeks, the pass game had been substantially better than their run game, which I know in today's age this isn't necessarily uncommon, but for the 49ers at least, they typically operate with more of a balance. And while, especially from what we've already seen, I don't think you need any convincing as to why CMC is going to elevate this run game to the next level, and while I'm also not just trying to say that CMC is practically a Deebo Samuel 2.0, I mean, he practically is in terms of the impact and success he is going to bring to the table on this side of the ball. And if his first full game as the starting running back for San Francisco isn't enough to show you this without Deebo Samuel on the field, I really don't know what else I need to show you. Because for their ground game, again, even though it's a small sample size and the running back is now considered to be one of the most expendable positions that we have today, this is ultimately the first time San Fran can say they have a generational talent as their RB1 under the Shanahan offense, and let me tell you, it is not disappointing. Because from already averaging pretty much 5 yards per carry on a decent amount of touches seen already in his 49er career thus far, if he keeps up even remotely close to the averages we've already seen, their ground game is going to be more unstoppable than we've ever seen it. And also, while we absolutely need to mention CMC's effect in the pass game, which I won't necessarily say is underrated, underrated, but is something that not many people considered when thinking about this trade. You probably could make the argument if you wanted to that this could be the area that he affects the most. Because in this sense, when you consider the fact that he's already averaging 8 yards per reception in his 49er career, that most of his targets have resulted in first downs, and he has demonstrated his unreal ability to rack up the yards after catch, and even with being an end zone threat, you really can't say that CMC has done nothing short of fit perfectly into the operation of this 49er offense. And then of course, there's also the individual passing aspect of CMC, which probably isn't going to be too common in this offense, but we still had to mention it. But again, to compare CMC's impact on this offense to what Deebo Samuel has been doing over the last couple of years, while yes, we haven't seen them fully involved on the field together yet in a game, it is going to be extremely interesting to see what Shanahan's going to be able to pull out to see how they're both utilized the best. And of course, while adding CMC is only going to help the production of this offense in general, I don't think it helps anyone more in terms of their individual production than Jimmy Garoppolo. Because for Jimmy G, again, who most people did not expect to be here at this point, even though numbers-wise he has definitely exceeded expectations of most, he still definitely had some moments where struggles were seen more so again towards the beginning of the year. And while I'm definitely not trying to say that CMC is just going to magically elevate Jimmy G to the next level alongside this offense, he does, however, play exactly into where Jimmy G does best, and that's simply being the short passing game. Because with the Niners slowly trying to get all of their offensive weapons healthy and back on the field at once, in some guys like Brandon Aiyuk, Jauan Jennings, George Kittle, and even Ray McCloud, we've seen this team sort of be able to catch their rhythm over the last couple of weeks. But when Jimmy is able to have both CMC and Deebo in particular on the field at the same time, who both thrive in getting short completions, followed by the ability to break these out into massive plays more than many other people we see across the league, I'll just say that if Jimmy G's numbers start to rapidly increase all of a sudden, and we see the pass game used a lot more than we might expect, I think we all know the reason why. But I do also know that we cannot make a video about the 49ers without also discussing the defensive side of the ball for this team as well, because statistically speaking, while they've already been one of the best defenses in the entire NFL through roughly the first half of the 2022 season, they have been able to do this without what you could consider to be a fair portion of the core of what makes this defense so elite in guys like Jason Verrett, Eric Armstead, and Dre Greenlaw, who are soon to return to the field for them as well. And I mean, with all things considered, if the Niners are truly only going to improve on both sides of the ball as this season goes on and as we soon approach the 2022 playoffs, I think I can speak for most fans around the league that if all continues to go well in San Fran, that this is a team that nobody is going to want to match up with. But of course, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. However though, you guys, with everything that we've mentioned regarding the San Francisco 49ers, I am also extremely curious to hear what you all have to think about their situation. So please be sure to let me know in the comments what has been the most surprising part to you about how this 49ers offense has looked since acquiring Christian McCaffrey, and also in terms of the long run, do you think this trade is going to be worth it for the San Francisco 49ers, or do you think that it will be considered an overpay? But again, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. As mentioned, brand new NFL content is just going to continue to come out every single week, so believe me, you don't want to miss it. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything, you all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.